Welcome to the Attention Deficit Disorder Expert Podcast Series by Attitude Magazine.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's Susan Coffin for Attitude Magazine. We have a very special guest today, the FlyLady. Some of you may know, or many of you may know her. She has over 1 million followers on her social network, and I have long been a follower and fan of the FlyLady's methods for organizing your home. She is the founder and the host of her popular website. It's called FlyLady.net. Check it out right away if you haven't yet. And she's sort of a mentor to those living in what she calls chaos, C-H-A-O-S, can't have anyone over syndrome, and clutter. So today she's going to focus on answering your questions about how to grapple with the clutter that all of us live with, and some of us live with more than others, especially moms, stay at home or working, but dads too, who are trying to keep a neat house. So thank you so much, FlyLady, and we are very happy to have you today.
We all get overwhelmed, and I get overwhelmed trying something new, and people with ADD, they throw the baby out with the bathwater before they ever get started because they're overwhelmed. And what I realized myself back in 1999 when I made that New Year's resolution that I wanted to get organized, I realized that I hadn't been very kind to myself. So that's when I started taking baby steps to establish a simple routine. And my very first place to get started was shining my kitchen sink. So that's where I recommend everyone start. And I can hear them now saying, but the kitchen is so messy, I need to clean it off. No, we're just going to start with the kitchen sink. And go look at my little shiny sink video on our Get It Started section of our website, and you'll understand why.
So starting with the kitchen sink is just one of the things I think that you and I talked about just briefly before the webinar started, is the fact that there are just a large number of people on this webinar who have already posted questions saying, I just can't get started. It seems so overwhelming. The clutter is so overwhelming. I just don't know where to start.
Well, in 1999, I had a house full of clutter. Robert and I had gotten married in 96. He had a house full of clutter. I had a house full of clutter. And then we put it together and went to estate auctions and bought more. And we couldn't, we had paths in our house. We didn't dare get up in the middle of the night. So I know what it's like to live in a house that is, that you're afraid to move around in, and you don't dare open the door because someone's going to see your dirty little secret. So that's why I wanted to get organized, and I was just like everybody else, sidetracked to the hilt, and didn't know where to get started, and didn't have any consistency in my life, and didn't have any routines established. And that's what I realized that New Year's Day, is that I had never established a habit. And psychologists tell us that it takes 21 days to establish a new habit. Well, they lie. It doesn't. For people who are sidetracked, it takes us a full month, because what I teach people is to give yourself a break. If you miss a day, so be it. Jump back in where you are and keep going. And the consistency of doing something every day or every other day, if you miss a day, is going to make a big difference in your life. So just jump in. Don't beat yourself up. Be kind to yourself. This year, our motto is, words can be kind or mean. The choice is yours in 2013. And it is important for us to learn to give ourselves a little break and be nice to ourselves. We wouldn't talk to our children the way we talk to ourselves in our heads.
So a lot of this is your own sort of message to yourself when you're saying to yourself, this is impossible, this is overwhelming. I think what you're saying is give yourself a different message.
Yes, it's all about being kind and loving to yourself. And, if I told people that I was going to help them get their house clean by teaching them to love themselves, they'd say, you're full of hooey,
Right.
But that's what we really do. We teach you to be kinder and more loving towards yourself, and the result is a home that blesses you, blesses your family, and gives you the ability to open the door to strangers when someone's in need.
So just to jump right into a really specific problem here, we have, I'd say, 15 people who are writing sort of versions of the following. I'm just dying in paper. junk mail, paper, mail that comes in, just so much paper. What do you suggest? That's just, really just seems to be such a huge issue for so many people.
Well, the reason we have paper taking over our lives is because we can't make a decision on what to do with it. When you walk in the door with your mail, 95% of what is in the mail is trash. So I recommend having a recycle bin right there, but people get scared that they're going to get their identity stolen and different things, so they hold on to this stuff. We personally have a fireplace, and we burn the stuff as kindling in our fireplace to keep that from happening. But no, a lot of people can't do that. So I suggest ask for your Mother's Day or Christmas or your birthday to get an industrial shredder, and a cross-cut shredder, and one that cuts up credit cards and the whole works. And one lady put one in her garage, so the minute she gets out of the garage, the first thing she does is shred the stuff that doesn't earn its way into the house. And if we will practice the do-it-now principle when it comes to handling our mail, we will not have these piles of paper. And will eventually go through the stacks of paper that you have hiding in garbage bags in the bottom of your closet because you're scared to throw them away. We will eventually get through all of those. And we have 1 month that we just focus on paper clutter.
Really? Just paper clutter?
Yes.
So when you say eventually get through them all, is there a plan for tackling this a bit at a time? Is that the thought?
But what we do is we grab a stack that's about 6 inches that you can get two hands around, and we sit and sort that into something that needs to be filed and something that needs to be recycled or destroyed. And you'll get through it, and if you shred it and make nice little shreds and then donate it to the Humane Society or your local place that rescues puppies, and before you know it, nobody's going to go through those things when it's got puppy poo on it.
I know from following your system for many years and having
we've been friends for a long time, Susan.
I did an entire office move. I'll tell the audience, the listeners on here, I did the entire office move, and from an office that can only be described as, well, it's not hoarding. It was super cluttered by just taking the principle, the FlyLady's principle of I did a half an hour a day, and just kept at it a half an hour every day. And what happened is, and maybe you can talk some more about this, I'd say, okay, I'm going to do a half an hour. I can do that. And it would always end up being more than that half an hour. But I just kept at it over time, and the task got done. And is that the sort of a similar principle with all paper management then?
Well, there are certain things that need to be kept. Birth certificates, death certificates, passports, and you need a place for those things. My grandmother taught me everything has a place and everything in its place. But we have all our important places stuffed with clutter. So we have to establish a place. So what I say is just clean out one drawer out of a filing cabinet. Let's just find one space where you can put these important things. And when you run across them, just put them in. Don't worry about having them in any order. You know that you should keep this, and it needs to go in a place, and get it there. And eventually you'll put the most important things in the lockbox of the bank or in a safe that's fireproof, and you'll have those things there. Your house did not get messed in a day, and it's not going to get clean overnight. So we've got to eliminate the clutter and put it in its proper place in recycling and trash, and get it out of your house, because all you're doing is moving it around, and you can't organize clutter. You have to eliminate it. Get it out of your house so that you can breathe in your own home.
Yeah, so many people say, I just don't know what to do with it. I'm moving it from pile to pile. That's a very common comment also. What do I do with these piles? I think
Handle them one time. Handle them one time. In recycling, or put it where it belongs.
Another sort of pretty common comment here on the webinar is, What do you do? Quote, I'll say, where do you start when the whole family seems cluttery? My kids are 11, 8, and 5, and both of our parents work. And that another person, Sally Joe, says, I have 4 ADHD children, and they love it when their playroom and bedrooms are clean, but the next, 2 minutes later, the clutter's all over the place again. How do I keep it? How do I keep on track? Even if I can get started, how do I keep things under control?
Well, that's what routines are all about. And, if some of the people who are writing in on the webinar are complaining that they have messy children, yeah, children are messy. They learn from us. We're the best teachers. We don't pick up after ourselves, therefore they don't pick up after themselves. And they need to be told, you are the director in your home. And if you don't have a routine, just kind of watch a kindergarten teacher sometimes. At the top of the hour, they put everything away that they're doing and start something fresh. We don't do that at home. We just let them play, and not put anything away until everything has gotten out in the middle of the floor. Now, they could have too many toys, too. My neighbor across the street, she was telling me she was cleaning out her children's playroom. She has 3 little boys under the age of 5 and one on the way. And she says, I can't get it all cleaned out, and it's messed up within 5 minutes. I said, because you have too much stuff. And she said, I look at it and I think, well, I need to keep this for the new baby coming. And I said, this new baby is going to learn so many things from his older brother that you're not going to be able to control what the baby's playing with. So keep as few toys as possible. They have a great fenced-in backyard. Let them go play. Let them outside. Get that energy out of them.
You mentioned that, the kindergarten teacher cleans up the classroom at the top of the hour. Is that something that you recommend, taking the time each day to declutter?
The teacher doesn't. The teacher gets the kids to put things where they belong. Right. The teacher doesn't do it. She directs them. And everything has a place. Like the truck will have a place with a sign of a truck on it, and the word truck written out with a picture. So that helps them to be able to read. It's all about learning anyway. And if you establish a place for it, bookcases, little shelves, little baskets, and my daughter-in-law, the kids love trains, but she doesn't let them play with them, but every 3rd month she'll get the box of trains out. And they go through them and get all excited about them, and then the next month they're put away again. So it's like having a new toy when she pulls it out every 3 months. Mm-hmm. But she rotates the toys in and out.
Okay. That's an interesting thought. Yeah. One of the things that people mention, and that we've seen this at Attitude also, is you start a project and it leads to another one and another one and another one. So, you say, well, I'm going to clean up my office. And then you realize that you really need to get file cabinets, and then you realize that to do that, you have to move out that old chair that's in the corner, and then you realize that you have to, and then people sort of throw up their hands and say, this has become too big a project, I just don't know how to tackle it. Well, what's your recommendation for those projects that seem to just grow exponentially?
Well, I call that piling on. Yeah, you're doing that to yourself. You don't get the chance to finish something because one thing leads to the next and leads to the next. Well, just sit down and do it mentally, in your mind, and think about, well, what's the first thing I need to do? I need to get rid of that chair, but I really like that chair. I don't want to get rid of that chair. Well, that means we really didn't need the new filing cabinet in the first place. We just need to clean out the old filing cabinet and get one drawer empty to start with. So you may not need what you think you need. I mean, people join FlyLady and they go to Walmart and they start, buying all these bins to put things in, and they look at each other in the checkout line, and that's not what I've told them to do at all. What we really need to do is get the clutter out of the house, not put it in nice, pretty plastic boxes and silk bins, up on a shelf. We just need to get it out of our house. One time we did a little contest to find out what people did with their Rubbermaid tubs as they emptied them, because they had a lot of them left over because they didn't have things to put them in because they had gotten rid of everything. And they grew mushrooms in them. They turned it into trains for their kids to play in. They became tables for tea parties. You know, there's just lots of things you can do with the Rubbermaid tub besides put stuff in it.
Right. So basically just don't have so much stuff stored in bins and bags and stuff everywhere. Does that apply to clothes as well? There's a question here from Joanne. Clothes clutter in a tiny space is her issue.
So we had 3 different kinds of clothes. We have the clothes that we used to fit into. The clothes our fat clothes that are in our closet saying, come on back. You know, they want us to get back in them. And we don't want to get rid of them because we know we're going to gain the weight back. So we're telling ourselves we can't be consistent with our new lifestyle when we do that. So we've got to change this attitude. Get rid of your fat clothes. Get rid of your skinny clothes. Only have clothes in your closet that make you feel like $1 million and maybe one outfit to go out and do gardening in, you know?
Right.
And you'll have plenty of room in your drawers and in your closet if you will get rid of those things. Too many clothes overwhelms us before we get started and then makes laundry hard because we don't have a drawer to put our clothes in.
So are you a believer of, if you haven't worn it in the last year, get rid of it, or is there a rule of thumb that you advise on the clothes problem?
Well, let's just say we're going to start today. And just go into your closet and take an armful of clothes and turn the coat hangers around backwards. And in a month's time, you'll see what you've worn and what you haven't worn.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Because if you want to wear it, you're going to get it out and you're going to turn the hanger the right way when you hang it back up. And unless it's staying on the treadmill over in the corner of your bedroom.
Yeah. That treadmill that's the clothes hanger.
Oh, yeah. That's the treadmill that should be a treadmill, but it's not. It's become a clothes horse.
I'm just having a note here from Marcy just says, Marla, thank you for everything you do. Even though I'm still deep in the mess, you've made a big difference in my life. So I just want to interject that comment for a second. In terms of clothes, interesting, your comment about laundry. There are a couple of questions from people who say, I just can't get caught up on laundry. I have piles in the laundry room. I just don't seem to have enough closet space to put the clothes in. My spouse doesn't want to donate clothes. What do I do about the laundry?
Well, you don't have to worry about his clothes. He can keep his clothes because he probably doesn't have many anyway. Maybe a drawer full of T-shirts and sweatshirts he can't bear to get rid of. But with the rest of the clothes, your clothes and the kids' clothes, we're holding on to clothes for children that haven't even been conceived yet. And we're doing ourselves a disservice. We're thinking poor when we're holding on to these things for these children that aren't even born. And we have to bless someone else with our abundance, or we're going to be hoarders. And when we pass it on to someone else and give them permission to pass it on to someone else, and then that way everybody gets blessed in the process and you have a place to put things. Now, as far as laundry goes, if you've got piles and piles of laundry, here's what I would recommend doing. I would gather it all up in pillowcases and garbage bags and go to the laundromat and get you lots of quarters or whatever. I haven't been to the laundromat in so long, I don't even know what they use anymore. So, but go at a time when nobody else is there, and you get everything washed and ready to go. And then start your dryer so that you can bring things out of the dryer, and as you fold it, you know whether it fits the kid or not, or whether it fits you, and start a pile that's the giveaway pile, and then you start a basket that's Johnny's clothes, Janie's clothes, my clothes, Daddy's clothes, and you start these bins going, and then you're going to get rid of about half of what is in those piles of laundry. It's just like paper clutter. Most of it can't be worn. So you get rid of that, but before you go, I want you to clean one drawer out for each member of the family. So when you get home, you'll have a place to put the clean clothes.
I think I remember from one of your suggestions, there was something about always making sure you folded the laundry, not leaving the laundry. There was one step, I think maybe it was in your evening routine, about getting that laundry folded and not letting it sit around. That's on your one of you?
I teach people to do a load of laundry a day. Now,
That's right.
If you have a huge family, you may need to do 2 loads a day. But it starts in the evening when everybody is getting their baths and you've got a load of dirty clothes. You go and put them in the washing machine that evening. Then first, I don't believe in starting a dryer when you're going to bed or before you're leaving the house. I won't start a dishwasher or a dryer because we have too many fires. And so when you get up in the morning, you take that load that's in the washing machine and you run it through the dryer while you're doing your morning routine, and then fold those clothes and get them put away.
So every day, just keep on top of it. That's the key there, from what I'm hearing you say. Yeah, just don't let it pile up.
A load a day, it will keep mouthwash more away. 1 load a day will keep mouthwash more away.
So I just want to give a shout-out to Julie, who's on this webinar, who's just wrote in, since this webinar started, I transferred the washer to the dryer, put in a new load, and I'm folding it while I listen. Go me. go Julie.
Yes.
That's great. So she's listening and she's folding. When you talk about your morning routine, can you talk a little bit about some of the routines that you advise for the morning and for the evening? I think that's just a big part of your successful recommendations for staying on top of things.
Well, when you get up in the morning, you usually have to go to the bathroom real fast. I like to play a game with myself, and this month we are making our beds every day. That's the habit we're practicing. We have a new habit each month, and if you've been doing FlyLady's for a while, and you know the habit, and it is a habit, you can practice something else, or you can just put energy back into making your bed every day again. So you get up and you make your bed as fast as you can because you have to go to the bathroom. And then while you're in the bathroom, getting dressed to your lace-up shoes because you picked out your clothes the night before and they're hanging on a hook in the bathroom or on a shelf ready for you to get up first thing in the morning. And while you're in the bathroom getting dressed, you put your makeup and things away. Don't leave it laying out on the counter. So that means you need a little place in your cabinet to put a basket with the stuff that you use every day. And you get dressed to lace up shoes. And while you're getting dressed, you swish and swipe the bathroom so your bathroom's always ready for company or for you. I mean, the bathrooms are the messiest room in the house because we don't think anybody's ever going to look at it, but then somebody comes to your house and you really don't want them to go to your bathroom, so you stand outside with them. So you have to do it to bless you, but others get blessed in the process. So swish and swipe, it takes 30 seconds to do it. And you wipe down the mirror of the dental floss home runs and wipe down the cabinet, the countertop and the faucets. And then you take one of the toilet wipes, or if you have certain cloths that you use, or a dirty washcloth, and wipe down around the toilet and around the toilet seat and swish the toilet. And I propose using old shampoo and old body wash that you don't like in a vase that you've gotten flowers in. You stick a toilet bowl brush in it with this shampoo and body wash and add about 50% water, however much old shampoo, you got 1 inch left in the jar, in the bottle, and put about 1 inch of water, shake it, and, pour it in this shampoo, and just keep adding your leftovers into this. I've even used old bars of soap. I've grated it and put in there, and you put it on top of the stove and cook it a little bit, and it'll all blend together again. And soap is soap, and it's the action of swishing the toilet that keeps things from growing in there. And so bacteria won't grow in soap in the jar.
So that's 2 things that you've just said that are part of a pattern that I think is just really incredibly helpful, which is don't turn cleaning the bathroom into a big ordeal. Just do it a little bit every morning while you're there. Don't turn laundry into a huge piles and piles of tasks. Just knock it off every single day. So I think what I'm hearing you say is just get these things as part of your routine, and they won't become these big mountains that seem overwhelming.
Well, we procrastinate. And as people with ADD, we put things off because we'd a whole lot rather be out playing or doing whatever we like to do best. We're
not good at doing boring tasks at all, right?
No, but that's why we have to make it fun. So cleaning your floor can be fun if you will get a little creative, and ADD people are very creative people. I mean, the world turns because we have ADD people in the world. I believe this with all my heart. And
yes, I do too.
We have to turn the mundane tasks, the things that we were punished with as children. I mean, we have gotten testimonial after testimonial. People would just be standing at the kitchen sink, squalling their eyes out, and they didn't know why they were crying, washing their dishes. And, they fed their family a wonderful meal, and they're standing at their kitchen sink crying, and it's because every time when they were kids, they were forced to wash dishes. And if you use housework and chores around the house as punishment, you need to be whipped yourself, because you're making your own life miserable, not to mention the lives of your children for the rest of their lives.
Right.
So it's important that you make things fun. There's no better way to clean the floor than to spray some shaving cream down on the floor, or make some shaving cream with your KitchenAid mixer with a little ivory soap or a little baby shampoo, and put the kids in their bathing suits, put this foam down on the floor and let them draw in the floor and do all kinds of fun things, and then take dirty old towels and let them slip and slide. Your floor will be the cleanest it's ever been, and they have had the time of their life, and you've laughed and had more fun than you ever thought you could washing a floor.
So just stop this whole attitude of poor me, and this is just so onerous, and just put it in schedule and just get out of the way and make it fun while you're at it. I mean, this is great advice. Someone just posted here something about another part of that he found, I guess, on your site. It says, I also appreciate the no excuses workout fellow on your team. While my workouts aren't yet great, I have to say the attitude of no excuses is more helpful than anything else. Jonathan
is amazing. Jonathan is in around Boulder, Colorado, around Denver, and he ran the Boston Marathon last week.
Wow.
And he had just crossed the finish line just about 10 minutes before the bomb went off.
Oh, my goodness.
And when I got the call that the Boston Marathon had a terrorist act, my first thought was, and they had timed it for 3 hours and 30 minutes, and Jonathan usually crosses the finish line 3 hours and 16 minutes because he runs for the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. And this is his 18th or 19th running of the Boston Marathon. And his family's usually at the finish line, but they did not go with him this year. And I was just so thankful. And he was 500 yards away from the bombing. And he is a no-excuse guy, and we are a no-excuse website, because if you're making excuses, you're not doing things. And the time you can write an email complaining that my family is the one that's messing, not me, you could have picked up after it. So we have a no whining allowed rule on our website, too. And Jonathan has embraced that no excuses with his website.
That's great. We have some questions from working moms, single and or not single working moms. A number of them said, at night they try to do their nightly routine, and maybe you could talk a little bit about the nightly routine, but they just find themselves so exhausted. They just have a tough time getting through that nighttime routine, especially.
Well, it's because they're waiting to the last minute to do the before-bed routine. I want your before-bed routine to start as soon as dinner's over.
Okay.
And get your kitchen sink shiny and dishes put away and dishwasher running and all the things that need to be done in the kitchen. And then you start the kids with their baths, and you got to take care of you, too. Some people, when they do the laundry, set the outfits up and ready to go. And if you have one of those sweater bins, each child can have an outfit in a different sweater bin,
Uh-huh.
like for 6 days or 5 days for school. And before you know it, you've got all their clothes replaced when you're doing the laundry every day. Everything goes right back in there. The full outfit's put together, your full outfit's put together. And you can do that. You can have like a fashion show and put together outfits, and the kids can have, a great time mixing and matching, and especially the little girls. Little boys don't care. And, they want their jeans or their shorts and their favorite T-shirts. But you put them in those bins and do that for yourself. Your before-bed routine may be too big. There's 3 aspects of your before-bed routine. It's to make tomorrow easier. So Get done tonight what you can get done. Like put together lunches except for the last-minute things that have to go in there. Look at the calendar, see what's on the schedule for tomorrow and what everybody's got to be doing, and sort of look at your menu plan and see what's for dinner and get that out of the freezer and put it in the refrigerator. There's little things that, it takes 20 seconds to pull something from the freezer to the refrigerator for tomorrow's dinner. And that last-minute stuff, we're standing in the front of the refrigerator at 6 p.m. and nothing's thawed out.
Right.
And
that's such a common problem for people, for certainly for our readers. Just, what am I going to do for dinner? What's your advice on meal planning? How do you handle that in your routines?
Well, we utilize Leanne Ely in SavingDinner.com. Mm-hmm. And Leanne's been writing for us like Jonathan has since 2001, since we started a website, pretty much. And she teaches us how to menu plan, but here's the basics for menu planning. You take a calendar, and we have a calendar that's really big, but we're out of them for this year. We will have new ones starting in August, but they'll be for sale in June. You take a calendar with big squares, and you sit down and you write down what you had for dinner yesterday and what you had for dinner the night before, and then sort of look at the past week, and that'll get you started with a week. And then you plan for leftovers, especially if you take your lunch and you have to, have to go eat out when you're working. If you plan leftovers so that you have a good supply of food to take with you the next day, you're going to eat better. You're going to feed yourself nutritious food instead of fast food. And everybody's going to feel good, and your guilt is going to go away. So sitting down and making a plan. Now, Wednesday is the day we clean out a refrigerator. And I kind of like to have a basic weekly plan for menus. So let's think about Wednesday being clean out the refrigerator. We see what you've got in there that you need to use up. And if there's some things getting a little wilty, you can start a pot of soup. So you plan for the leftovers you have. My grandmother, I remember, she used to keep a milk carton in the freezer door, and she would put little smidges of leftover butter beans and corn, and all this stuff would go in this little container. And then when it came time to make a pot of vegetable soup, she had this whole big half-a-gallon box full of stuff to go in the soup. And it's because you cleaned out the refrigerator. You haven't just put a smidge of something in a glass thing and set it in the refrigerator to throw out next week. You've actually frozen it at a good point, and you can utilize it. So clean your refrigerator out on Wednesday. Look at what you're running low of. Start your grocery list. Look at your calendar and see what you've got to do next week. Do they have Little League practice? And, is that going to be a soup and sandwich day? Monday can be like chicken day, or Tuesday can be pork day, and Wednesday can be soup day because you cleaned out the refrigerator. Thursday can be pasta day, and then Friday can be pizza day. And my son and daughter-in-law have started making their own pizzas at home, and they take one afternoon and make pizza dough. Everybody helps making the pizza dough, patting the pizza dough out, and then they pre-cook it and sandwich it in saran wrap and wax paper and wrap it all up in big Ziploc bags and put it in the freezer. And then when it's pizza night, they pull 4 little pizzas out, and everybody makes their own pizza.
That's great.
It's a fun time.
Yeah. One of the things that I really took away from my several years that I spent, getting those Fly Lady emails every day and thinking about your system, that I thought made so much sense, and I can't say that I've fully implemented it, but I strive, is a weekly schedule where you shop on a certain day, you have a certain day where you do errands, you have a certain day where and I thought that was just a concept that, it's obvious once you say it, but it's not necessarily obvious to those of us who are, let's say, somewhat disorganized. Can you talk a little bit about how that schedule, because I thought it just seemed super logical. I think you had a day when you paid the bills. You had a weekly schedule, as I recall.
We call it the basic weekly plan.
The weekly plan, right.
Basic weekly plan. And when we were children, we sang a song that this is the way we wash our clothes, and this is the way we did this. And, everything had a day. I mean, up until my grandmother passed away last September, before she had a stroke, she had a day she watered plants. Every Tuesday she watered plants. Every Monday she did her laundry, which was all of 2 loads, And then,
right.
And then she would iron on Tuesdays because she did the laundry on Mondays, so she would iron on Tuesdays. And then, she had a day that she did everything. She went shopping on Saturdays because she worked during the week. She was a seamstress at a factory, and she worked, and she would go grocery shopping on Saturdays. And a lot of people do that. And she had a day for everything. We like for you to adapt your basic weekly plan to your lifestyle when you need to go shopping. I mean, there's nothing worse than showing up at the grocery store at 5 o'clock on a Friday.
Yeah, terrible. Right.
Or
driving home and saying, oh, right, it's dinner time. What am I going to do now? Yeah.
Yeah, so we buzz through the Golden Arches, and we feel guilty all the way home. And, this is not what we have to do. We have to set things up so that we can feel good about ourselves and feed our families well. And Leanne teaches us how to do that. And it's all about sitting down with a calendar, knowing what we've got to do next week, doing an inventory of what's in your freezer, because we know there's a lot of stuff in there that needs to be used up because we've stuck it in there and haven't gotten it out and used it. So let's make a plan for it. I do a challenge, a freezer challenge about once every 3 months for us to eat out of our freezer and not buy groceries except for milk and bread.
Yeah, that's great. Someone else here, Victoria, just posted and said, here's a suggestion that works for our family. We do one fend for yourself night, which is basically everyone has to choose a leftover from the fridge, and everybody in the family loves it, and it gives us a break to sort of clean. That's sort of like, I guess, your Wednesday clean out the fridge night. This question, for ADD people especially, I think setting up a regular routine is really tough because we're so in the moment. But it seems to make a huge difference even if you could just do it part way. At least it has for me. I just want to come back to Leanne because I really agree with you. She's just an awesome resource. A number of people have asked that if you could repeat the name of her website or how to take advantage of Leanne's dinner planning site.
SavingDinner.com.
SavingDinner.com, right. Mm-hmm. And just for folks on here, I'm a Leanne member of longstanding, and she has menus that are just super useful and all different kinds, whether it be gluten-free or low-fat or whatever. She has just very simple and very easy to implement menus and shopping lists by the week. Let me tell you
what she's getting ready to start. And this goes along with those of us with ADD. For 2 years now, Leanne and I have been low carb. And she's getting ready to do a 30-day paleo challenge.
Wow.
Yes. And when we can eliminate the sugars and the carbs from our life, we can actually focus better on what we need to do, and especially your children with ADD. There are some great resources on the website, on her website, but she and I both love Jimmy Moore, who has a website called Living La Vida Low Carb. He's on Facebook, too.
Say that again. Could you repeat
Jimmy
that?
Moore.
Living more?
Living La Vida Low Carb.
Oh, Living La Vida.
Yeah. I don't know
Okay.
what it means, but those who can speak it. But he's on Facebook. He interviews people all the time, and one of the people he interviewed a few years ago was Dr. Ann Childress, and she's in Portland, Oregon. And she is a psychiatrist. Before she was a psychiatrist, she was an animal behaviorist. And she went back to med school and got a degree in psychiatry. And she treats children with ADD using low carb because she
Okay.
eliminates the sugar from them. And she said, this really changes these kids' lives. And there's a great interview with her that she talks about a 3-year-old that couldn't even put words together to make a sentence. And she was eating, high-carb cereals and sugars. And she told the mom, serve her bacon and eggs for breakfast and do this for 2 weeks. And they did it. And the little girl walked back in, sat down in Dr. Childress' lap, and hugged her and said, thank you.
Wow.
3-year-old that was able to say, thank you for helping me. And it
That's
just
great.
totally changed this kid. So there's a lot of free resources out there for us with ADD. And, we don't like structure. We're creative people. But, we need structure in our lives so it frees us up to be more creative without our house falling down around us. If we can just, one time I got this testimonial from a lady who was an art student. And she said her art professor gave them a block of wood, some wire, and a steel rod. And you were to use those 3 pieces to work with clay. And if you didn't use them the right way to build the foundation, your work of art would slump. And that's what our routines are. They are our foundation that free us up to be more creative than we ever dreamed we could be.
Really makes sense. Give yourself some structure, and then that liberates you to have the creativity. Just let me recap here. A couple of people have posted. Again, I think it's livinglavitawithcarb.com. Is that correct?
Low carb.
Livinglavitawithcarb.com. Exactly. Someone's written it in. Livin, L-I-V-I-N, La Vida.
Mm-hmm.
Lowcarb.com, right. And Leanne Ely is savingdinner.com, folks. So, and of course, don't forget FlyLadyNet for lots and lots of much more information on lots of the topics that the Fly Lady is talking about today. I just want to bring up 2 special cases. There's one time of the year that makes me so crazy, and you attacked it so beautifully on your website. And I remember just having this great sigh of relief when I read it, and that is Christmas, holidays. I feel it coming, and I know from our readers that it's shared by so many of us. Just this pit in your stomach, how am I going to get all this done? And being very perfectionist about finding the right present for the right person, getting it out on time. We have a joke at Attitude that one of the hallmarks of an ADD family is that they've taken the perfect Christmas photo, but by the time they get the cards done, it's already New Year's, so they don't send them out. And one of our coaches said, so many of her families just never send out that Christmas card. Will you talk a little bit about your Christmas, your holiday routine? Because I think it's just really fabulous.
We have a free holiday control journal that you can download anytime. Just click on the link on our homepage for control journals. And it's, 43 pages of getting ready for the holidays. And then it starts the 3rd week in October, and we send out daily missions for the holidays. And we take the week and we break it down into 5 specific, a basic weekly plan. So Monday is clean and fling. So you have to clean up to get the house ready for all your company, and you have to get rid of the clutter. So we usually do our weekly home blessing hour on Monday, and we get rid of clutter on Monday. Tuesday is plan and play. Boy, do we love to plan. We can sit down and plan and have so much fun with our little control journal, but we also like to decorate too. And that's what we think is Christmas. But to decorate, you have to have the stuff in your house to be able to do it with. So you plan it out on Tuesday, And you get to play on Tuesdays doing that. That's part of our play routine. And then Wednesday is always anti-procrastination day. And, that's make that picture in October for those Christmas presents, but you got to have the shirts and things to do it if you're going to have a pretty picture. Or you're going to have to pull something from a ski trip that you did that you want to use for, ski trip last year for this year. And start gathering that stuff up, because we all, you can send it off to CVS and get the cards printed over the internet. It's just sitting down and playing with it on the computer. A Thursday is go and do. So the things that you've made your list of, like if you've been using a holiday control journal, you know that you need new white candles for next year because these last year's have burnt down. So you put those on your list at the end of the year. You add them to your new list to get started. So you September, October, you get some new white candles for your table decoration. Or you get those little lights that you need to replace. Or you get a new strand of white lights. And you get the wrapping paper that you're going to need. Or you buy the Christmas cards that you want to use.
So all this is taking place in October for the most part.
Yeah. Well, it's getting it on the list and starting, because everything's out in the stores by then, because it's before Christmas, before Halloween, it all gets out there. And then Friday is the most important day of our basic weekly plan for holidays, and that is called Budget, Don't Begrudge It. And we set ourselves a budget, and we stick to it, and we calculate what we spent. And this goes for your online orders and all the things you need to do. And you can do a lot of the shopping online and have it brought straight to your door. And if you join Amazon Prime membership for $70 a year, everything can get shipped 2 days for free. And you can save yourself a lot of gas money and a lot of walking around time just having it shipped to you. I believe in Amazon. They love me.
Well, I do remember following, and I've stuck with this for many years during the period between October and, say, early December, buying one gift a day, just making sure that, I had my list and just making sure that every day I made some progress against that list until I was done.
It's that daily progress which makes all the difference. Instead of, I rest easy at Christmas time because I'm not worn out.
Right.
And it's a beautiful time of year. You get to go to the cantatas and go see the Messiah and, all the fun things that you want to do at Christmas time.
Yeah, I think we all love how the holiday season is just making sure that by the time it comes around, you're not a wet noodle. That's the key.
Yeah, our goal is, we call it cruising through the holidays, and our goal is to have everything done by December 1st.
That's great. That I really remember so clearly. Yeah. So, guys, the Holiday Journal from the Fly Lady on her website, can't recommend it enough. She helped us do a very abbreviated summary of it. I think we had tried to distill it into one page, which is pretty funny. It's on attitudemag.com. Look up Fly Lady. But yeah, this really is an important time of the year to get those routines in place, and makes just so much difference. It can be such a wonderful time of year instead of just feeling like this sense of dread coming over you at the approach of it.
It doesn't have to be that way. Yeah, no. It doesn't have to be that way. With just a little planning and a little play and a little getting things in the house, get your stuff that you need to bake cookies. I love to make up a bunch of cookie dough and take it over to my daughter-in-law's house so I make a mess over there and keep the kids while she goes and does shopping and we bake cookies.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So the last, we're running out of time here. We have a short time frame, and just so many people are still saying, anything more on help with clutter. I just think there's a number one thing that people seem to really talk about is just getting that clutter out of control, underway. And I guess you've given some of the big principles, but maybe just as a way to get started, is that where maybe your timer comes in? And the Fly Lady, for those of you on the webinar, is famous for her timers, which really do work like a charm.
Well, we have different ways of decluttering. We have a 27 fling boogie, which we run through the house, and being
Love it.
ADD, it's fun. You run through the house and gather up 27 items to throw away. This could be 27 pieces of paper. I don't care. But put it in the bag and put it in the trash. Then you run through the house and gather up 27 items to give away, something to bless someone else with. You know, if you don't love it, you don't use it, you have two of them, get rid of one and keep the other. Yeah, and get it out of your house, because you can't organize clutter. You have to get it out of the house. And the rule is put it directly in the trash or take it directly to the car. As soon as, you gather up the 27 items, the item, go instead of the garage, put it straight in the car so you can drop it off at your local Habitat Restore. That's what I recommend, because I'm the international celebrity spokesperson for Habitat for Humanity, or whatever your favorite charity is. But that's where we're getting ready to do a big push for decluttering this next weekend.
That's great. That's really great.
We picked it's declutter weekend, and we're going to focus on people getting the clutter out of their house, because we want to play this summer.
Right. We don't want to be moving stuff around from pile to pile. Absolutely. No.
Life's too short.
Well, just before we close, I have one question for you. I just want to know how you know so well how we think, and I'll give you just a quick example. One Thanksgiving, I think the Saturday after Thanksgiving, my husband said to me, "Don't you think we should throw out the turkey carcass?" And I said, "No, I think I'm going to make turkey soup." I went to my computer instead, and there was an email from the Fly Lady, and it said, "All of you who are still got that turkey in your refrigerator, get up and go throw it out." And I just burst out laughing, because it was as if you read my mind. So how do you do that is what I want to know. How are you so in tune with what we're all doing to avoid, decluttering? Is it just
I know
experience?
What your kitchen sink. Yeah, it is experience. I'm just like you. The guilt that comes from wanting to do something with that turkey carcass. Well, I've come up with a system. I cook my turkey the day before Thanksgiving. Take it all off the bone and put it in the crock pot, the carcass and all, skin, everything in the crock pot, and I cook it all night long. And then strain it up the next day, and I have the most wonderful broth to make my gravy with.
Wow.
And I get the turkey carcass out of the way. Leanne recommends just bagging it up and putting it in the freezer. As soon as you take the turkey off the bone, just put it in the freezer. Don't worry about it, because you got too much stuff going on.
Right.
And at Thanksgiving, I recommend, just doing one thing at a time. Make an appointment for your oven if you have to. I make my mashed potatoes 3 days ahead of time. And I make this souffle casserole of mashed potatoes. They're heart attack mashed potatoes with sour cream, cream cheese, butter, cream. They're just these wonderful mashed potatoes. I put them in a souffle pan, cover them with 3 cheese pizza stuff from DiGiorno, put a cover on it, put it in the freezer. And then the day before, I put it in the refrigerator and let it thaw in the refrigerator. And then all I got to do is heat it up at 300 degrees until it's bubbly. Thanksgiving morning.
Terrific.
So it's just making appointments for yourself and being kind to yourself.
Absolutely. The scheduling is everything, isn't it? We have just a few minutes left. One person asked if you could repeat the elements of the evening ritual. And then I think with that, we'll close with any inspirational comments you want to give to the audience.
Well, the routine for the evening is start as soon as dinner's over. Get your bath. I love to take a bath in the evening. It sort of relaxes me. A lot of people stay up way too late. Establish a bedtime. So think about tomorrow. What do you got to do? What can you do tonight to make tomorrow morning easier? Then look at your schedule for tomorrow and see what the kids are doing, and then what you've got to do, because that helps you pick your clothes out. If you've got a meeting to go to and you need to be dressed to the nines, then you'll get the right clothes out. Get all that set up, and then do a little cool down time. Take your bath, do a little pampering, read a book, turn the TV off about an hour before you want to go to bed, and that sort of resets your clock in your head. and know that when you go to bed, you can close your eyes and go to sleep, knowing that it's going to be, you don't have to think about everything that you've done because you've laid it all out. Write your before bed routine on a Post-it note and put it on your bathroom mirror.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I mean, that's where I keep my calendar, in the bathroom. It's the first thing I see in the morning. It's the last thing I see before I go to bed.
Okay, that's great.
And if you're trying to use a calendar on your phone and not use a paper calendar, you're never going to teach your kids how to use a calendar. So I suggest having one family calendar that everybody looks at.
Right.
And then you can still have a cozy calendar on your phone, which we love cozy, but it partners really well with us. And the main thing I want you to come away with is just to be kind to yourself. Love yourself enough to not put the stress of the holidays or the stress of this daily activity. Just, cut down on some of the extracurricular stuff that your kids are doing. Have fun this summer have fun playing instead of being involved in 4 different sports. Enjoy your time together as a family instead of running from this thing to the next thing to the next thing and just living off of adrenaline.
That's just great. Fly Lady, I cannot thank you enough for everything that you do and for the hour that you spent with us. And everyone, go on over to flylady.net and get lots more inspiration. Sign up for those emails. I know they seem overwhelming at first, but you will find that they are incredibly helpful. So, again, thank you so much, and we really appreciate it. And with that, everyone,
you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
For more Attitude Podcast and information on living well with attention deficit, visit attitudemag.com. That's ADDITUDEMAG.com.